Hey everybody, today we are talking about Little Cruelties by Liz Nugent. Little Cruelties is just as it sounds. We have this family that is quite terrible to each other and are constantly creating little cruelties for each other. It is crazy how these people interact with each other, especially a family. And on here it says, you hurt the ones you love the most. And I mean, for sure, in this story, that is true. This story is mostly based around the perspectives of the three brothers, William, Brian, and Luke. We start off with William, and we've discovered really fast that he is pretty much just a douchebag. Like, he is so horrible. He's so just, he doesn't treat women well. He thinks about himself quite a lot and how he would benefit from things, even if it meant that his brothers and his own family would suffer. He is kind of a mama's boy, though. He loves his mom and wants to, impress her. He is the oldest as well. William's profession is in the movie business, so he is always working on scripts, finding actresses and actors, going to big parties. He made a small film that was fairly successful, and so he continued down that path as his career and was trying to break through to America, because this is set in Ireland, Dublin area of the world. And so he's trying to get his films to also break ground in America so that they can also be big over there. And so naturally he has kind of this image of himself being amazing because he's in the movie business, and so he tries to use that to be able to go to a lot of the parties and get chicks to come, and he would lie to them saying that there's this big script that he has for them when really all he wants to do is sleep with them, and there's actually not really a movie that he's going to cast them for. So just cruddy things like that. He's just not a great dude. And we find out that he also does a lot of really cruel, terrible things to his own brothers for the benefit of himself, and because he's more important than everyone else, it seems. And so just not a great start to this family. And then we get Luke, and Luke's perspective is, honestly, I feel like Luke is the most good of the three. But, however, he still has a lot of flaws because he has mental issues that get in the way of him being able to do his job, which is like a pop star, pretty much. He didn't realize that this is what he was going to be. It just kind of fell into his lap, and he became the lead singer of a band and attracted a lot of younger audiences. A lot of teenage girls really fell for his music, and so he was really big in that kind of a sense. And a lot of the pressure that he felt growing up, a lot of it coming from religion and feeling like his mother didn't love him and things like that, kind of messed him up. So then he would try to impress her and invite her to his shows and try to be a good son, and the mental issues were just present, and if he went off his medicine, then thinking that he could handle it, he really couldn't, and so it would mess up things and make his decisions he would make poor decisions because of it. And so we have this brother who actually, when he was a child and a younger kid, he was actually trying really hard to be a good person and to just be loved, and it's just really sad that he never got that love that he needed and never felt that support, and his brothers just would make fun of him because he's the youngest. And so unfortunately that did not help him either, and so he made some decisions that I'm like, okay, that's not cool. And so he does have his flaws as well, but in comparison to William, in my opinion, Luke is nothing. And plus he has a good reason. He has actual problems that he can't just change by making a better choice. If he doesn't have proper medication, or if he stops going to therapy and he starts drinking, then he is impairing himself a lot more than if William were to take a few drinks. Like, it's not the same. So William could totally make better decisions because he knows better, but he chooses not to. That's the difference here. So yeah. And then we have Brian. And Brian is the middle child, and I thought maybe he was going to be the one that was actually the better one, but it turns out he's also just really trashy too. Like, he makes decisions that are for himself as well, so he also has selfishness to him, but he also tries to also kind of mediate sometimes, where he will try to make everyone happy, and he'll try to make decisions that he thinks that this could be a good thing for everyone. So he's not always just thinking of himself, like, not as much as William, but there are still things that he does that nobody else knows that he did, that's like, wow, if the truth came out about that. And same thing with William, like, wow, if the truth came out about that, if your brothers knew that you did that, and if, like with Brian, if your brothers knew, Brian, that you did that, like, then yeah, it's just one wild thing after the next that you're just like, unbelievable. Like, I was thinking that in my head half the time when I was reading this. I was like, this is unbelievable. I cannot believe that these people are this terrible. Like, they're all just not good people. And of course, there's a couple other characters, like William's wife, who's very important, Susan. She's very important because not only for William, but also for Brian. And there's also a daughter that is in the mix of this, and her name is Daisy. And that's a whole thing too. And so we have these people that seems like, Daisy, the child, it seems like she's like the only innocent one here, and she has to grow up living with these people as her relatives, and she kind of gets a little bit off of a good path when she gets older too. She starts going down the kind of road that Luke was going, which was like the alcohol and the drugs, and like Luke could tell that that was what was going on, but it seemed like she did not have a proper father figure. She did not like her father, and so that was not helping. And then there's a lot of twists in this. Of course there's going to be twists in this. If you don't know, my last review of this author, she also wrote Lying in Wait, and Lying in Wait is a great book. I liked Lying in Wait more than I liked this one. This one was still good. It's just Lying in Wait had such a twist that was so unexpected, and that I was like, oh my gosh. It was like a brilliant ending. If you want to check that review out, you can, but Lying in Wait is a perfect read if you like thrillers and things like that. And this one, I could have mentioned this a long time ago, but on the back of the book it says, all three of the Drum brothers were at the funeral, but one of them was in the coffin. So you read this knowing that one of them is going to die at some point, and you just don't know which one it is until pretty much the end of the book. So if you really want to know who it is, you're in for the long haul. You got to read the whole thing so you know who it is, and so it makes sense. Like, you're not going to get all the answers of all these things in the book unless you read all the way to the end. So I think it was a really good demonstration of how terrible these people are. Like, you get that throughout the whole book, but like at the end you're like, okay, I feel like everything I had thought and had been thinking as I was reading it was validated by reading the ending. Like, getting to the end, you're just like, all right, not even surprising at all. But it is at the same time. Like, it's still not a super predictable ending. I didn't see it coming, but after reading it, I was like, well, of course. So it was cleverly written. I think it was a well done job. Again, I still think Lying in Wait is my favorite. I've only read 2 of her books now, so Lying in Wait is still on the top for me. So I would definitely recommend that. But if you would like to read this and then read that, then maybe it'll be like, ooh, this was good. Oh, and then Lying in Wait, ooh, it's even better. But again, you might not agree with me. Maybe you'll like this one more. So, yeah, that's about it. I think it was good, worth the read. It's definitely just learning about the brothers and how they grew up and why they are the way they are, and piecing things together, leading up to figuring out who it was that they were at the funeral for. So I would recommend it if it sounded interesting to you. If you want to read about a bunch of people that are worse than you are, then read this book. But yeah, anyways, thank you so much for watching. I appreciate you, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.